Arknights Endfield is releasing in a couple of hours from the release of this video, and I am personally really excited to play it. But I'm going to be really honest that Arknights Endfield can feel really overwhelming for players that never played a single gacha game or never played a factory simulation game. So I decided to make this beginner's guide so you can have a brief idea of what you can expect when jumping in the game for the first time. But before we begin, a quick disclaimer that the information that I'm going to be sharing here comes from my experience from the first and second closed beta. So things could change on the final release, and if they change, I'm going to leave a pinned comment down below so you can check it later. But in case the information that you're looking for is not here in this video, you can also catch me live both on Twitch and YouTube, as I'm going to be streaming this game quite a lot in the next few days. I'm going to be playing it, I'm going to try to record more guides and a lot of different stuff for you, so make sure to subscribe in case you want to see more Arknights Endfield content. Also leave it a like so I have an idea that people are actually interested in this kind of content. And lastly, in case you rather have a text-based guide instead of just watching a whole video, you can check the link down in the description for Mobalytics, and I'm going to do my best to update the guides there as well. Now, with that out of the way, let's roll. First, a quick overview of the game so you can have an idea of what you can expect when you first launch the game. Arknights Endfield is a mix of both action RPG and factory gameplay. A lot of people say on my chat that the combat system looks just like Xenoblade, however, I never played any Xenoblade. So I actually have no idea which one of the series they are talking about. I know that there are multiple games in the series, but I don't know which one people are talking about, okay? Yeah, the combat system is a little bit more slow. It's not a hack and slash style of gameplay, not really dodge based, even though we have a dodge system in the game. It's more focused on good team building and the synergy between different operators, because you want to play around combo skill. This combo skill has a specific requirement to them, so you need to plan your whole team as a single thing. All right, each character, they matter in a team. It's not just about the single power of a single operator, it's about how good this operator is placed on a specific team with other 3 operators. And about the factory gameplay, I know that some of you probably don't enjoy it that much, but I'm going to be really blunt here. You need to play it. Period. It's not something that you can easily avoid. There are different systems that definitely help you to play through it, but it's something that you end up always going back to it. Everything that you kind of do in the game at the end is going to be related to your factory, because you explore the map because of your factory. You unlock new resources because of your factory. You need your factory to upgrade your character as well. So everything that you do in this game at the end is going to be somewhat related to the factory. But there are different tools that help players that don't want to engage that much with this gameplay with the factory system. But you're always going to be coming back to the factory somehow, so this is something that you definitely should keep in mind before just jumping the game, because yeah, factory is going to be there. So the combat system, as I mentioned before, is definitely a little bit slower than other games, because it's played around combo skills and synergy between your team. Having a good team building and building a good team where every single character can satisfy the conditions for their combo skills is really important. What is combo skill? Combo skill is one of the 4 skills each operator has, and basically this is the most restrictive one compared to other skills, because operators have their basic attack, they have their battle skill, which you consume skill points in order to use them, and then we have the combo skill, which has no skill points requirement, but they have a specific condition you need to meet in order to activate them. So for example, let's say that one of the operators is going to say that when the controlled operator hits the enemy with the final strike being the last attack from your basic attack string. So once you use this, you're going to trigger this operator combo skill, and once you use it, it's going to enter in cooldown. Each operator has their own combo skill with their own requirements and of course their own cooldown as well, so each one is different. There's no point in me diving about the combo skill of each operator right here, but the point is that you need to play around the combo skill quite a lot. What kind of value this is going to provide for your other operators, and how I can meet the requirements to activate this combo skill. And lastly, they also have the ultimate, but I don't think I need to explain too much about ultimates. You just build up your energy, your ultimate energy, by spending skill points, by triggering combo skill, by hitting enemies, and then once you have it available, you can just spend your ultimate to deal damage or apply some kind of status. Also depends on every single operator. So basically, it's a game that focuses quite a lot in the team composition and the synergy between your operators instead of just the individual power of every single operator. On top of this, characters are also divided in different classes and also different elements. Now for the classes, I said I'm not going to dive too deep on this topic because otherwise the video is going to be too long and I don't want to overload you with information. So all you need to think about it is like this. We have 3 different DPS classes. These classes are going to be focusing on dealing damage, and we're going to have 3 different supportive classes. These classes are going to increase the damage from your DPS classes by some kind of way. They can also provide sustain and other buffs for your team, protection as well. So this is how you need to look at this. And on top of the classes, characters are also divided in different elements in the game. We have physical, and then we have the arts damage or elemental damage being heat, cryo, nature, and electric. Why I'm separating the physical from all the other 4 is because physical, they basically like to play around physical status, and arts, they like to play around other arts, either between same kind of arts or different arts, so you can trigger arts reactions on enemies. Alright, so I'm not going to dive too deep in this explanation here, but all you need to know is that physical characters, they like to interact with vulnerable stacks. Arts characters, they usually like to interact with other arts inflictions. And infliction is when your character apply a debuff on the enemy based in one of the 4 elements in the game. Alright, but it's really important for you to note that just because a character is from a specific element, it doesn't mean that they are going to deal damage or inflictions from their element. Alright, I know this sounds confusing, which is why I'm not going to dive too deep in all of this elemental system explanation. I'm probably going to make a whole video talking about it, so you can understand how the damage works, some calculations as well, and stuff like this. We have a really good example in the game, this being Ember, which is a 6-star operator, and despite she being a heat character and dealing heat damage to enemies, she actually cannot apply heat infliction to enemies, and she actually applies vulnerable stats to enemies. So she's better used with physical characters instead of other elemental characters. Okay, so there are other characters in the future that could follow the same idea, arts characters or elemental characters that actually plays really well with physical characters, and probably in the future we're also going to see the same thing on the other way around. Physical characters that actually play really well with other elemental characters. And about arts reaction is just when you combine 2 different arts on the enemy, and the final reaction is going to be based on the last attribute that you apply on enemies. Arts bursts whenever you apply the same infliction on the enemy multiple times. But as I said, I'm not going to dive too deep on this topic. I'm going to explain every single one of these arts reaction, arts burst, how they work in another video. For now, this is just for you to have an idea of how the elemental system in the game works. And now let's look at the other side of the gameplay, and I'm talking about the factory system. The factory system, I actually don't think there's a lot to talk about because it's just like any other factory gameplay simulation. It's just about getting the resources from the world map and using these resources to produce new items that are going to be useful for you. These items includes, for example, new machineries that are just going to be new upgrades for your factory, of course. We also have gears for your operators, and this is the equipment system in the game. So it's a really important feature, and you can also craft healing items, utility items, and even some specific items to upgrade some of your outposts that I'm going to be explaining later in the video. So at the end of the day, you're going to be using the factory system quite a lot to automate the production of many different things. All right, so instead of just going through the map and picking up a lot of flowers from the map, you can just set up a seed picking machine and a planting unit, and you use this to loop your seeds and produce the plants that you need for your healing items, for example. You're kind of encouraged to use this system instead of just manually going through the map and picking up everything that you need. For people that never played a factory game, this can definitely feel overwhelming because of how much stuff you need to learn and how much stuff you need to do. But the game features a blueprint system, which is really important and helps players have a way to just copy and paste and share their layouts with other players. I personally feel that this is really important and this is a really good thing for Arknights Endfield, because me, when I first play a factory game, I actually had no idea what I was doing. The only thing that I like was like looking at the things moving. I actually had no idea how things were working. I was just copying and pasting different blueprints from other players of the same game, this being Factorio or Dyson Sphere program, on my game. And well, the things was working, so yeah, that's good, right? And then after a while, when I had more free time, when I learned more about the game, I decided to manually check stuff, and then I was learning step by step. So personally, I feel that the blueprint system is going to be really good for you if you never had any kind of interaction with the factory gameplay, and because you can just focus on learning other aspects of Endfield, and then you can leave the factory gameplay for later. You're not going to feel punished by simply skipping some of the factory gameplay. However, you are always going back to the factory. So it's really important that eventually you take some time and learn a little bit about the factory system. All right. I will do my best and also try to provide different layouts for players that never had any kind of interaction with the factory system. So you can, at the very least, kickstart your factory. You have something that is going to help you on the long run. And then later, once you have more time, you can learn more about this game system and then come up with your own layouts and own stuff that you want to do. Now, I mentioned about Outposts, and something that your factory can produce is items that are going to increase the trust level and progress of your outpost. Outposts are different parts of the map that you're going to unlock. These are usually story related, but once you unlock them, you have a new area for your facilities. You have a new area where you can set up new production lines and produce new stuff. Okay, in these outposts, they also usually have a story quest line on them, and you can build trust with them and help them progress further by giving them specific items that you can produce on your factory. So you produce these items and then you sell to them in order to help them develop even further, and you also get some resources that you can use to buy some other stuff. We're not going to be talking too much about this, but the point is that we also have this outpost system. So this is another reason for you to interact with the gameplay, because this can help you get more credits that you're going to use to unlock and upgrade a lot of different things in the game. Alright, so now that you have a basic understanding of the core gameplay features of Endfield, let's talk a little bit about the world exploration, because this one is going to be really important for you. The world exploration actually has a meaning in Endfield, and this is something that I really enjoy, because unlike other similar games, you just don't explore the map because you're looking to get out the chests and 100% exploration or stuff like this. As I mentioned before, you have a factory system, and you always want to keep growing this factory system in order to produce more items, new items, and a lot of other things for you. And this is where exploring the map becomes really important, because you have mining spots and even challenge puzzles, and all of this requires you to explore the map and set up your mining rigs, everything in order to get these resources in your AIC, the factory system. And on top of this, as I also said, the puzzles and stuff, there are going to be some puzzles that also requires you to power some machinery. And this means that you need to bring your power line all the way through the map. On top of this, you can also set up zip lines, which is a way of transportation that it just allows you to go through the map much more quickly than just walking through it. Cross huge gaps of the map just by setting up zip lines, as you're going to learn while you're playing the main story, because eventually even the game tells you and teaches you the utility and the importance of zip lines for you. That's not to mention all the other game activities that you're going to find, such as farming spots, rare minerals that you're going to find, and you need to collect them in order to improve your operators and weapons as well, and many other things. On top of all the world exploration and the factories and production lines that you can set, you also have the OMV Dijiang. And Dijiang is basically another base for all of your operators. They are just going to be there hanging around, but they also going to work. You can set some specific rooms to produce experience materials or just rare minerals that usually requires you to go through the world, explore, and collect them in a daily basis. You can also interact a little bit with the stock market that exists in the game, where you basically buy stuff from other players and you can sell this later for some profit, but we don't need to dive too deep on this one. Just keep in mind that Dijiang is another really important aspect of the game, another base for you, where you can set and automate new features as well. All right, and I feel that this was already a lot of information for you to digest. All right, as I said, this is just a basic, really beginner level a guide for you, so you can have an idea of the things that you can expect when you first jump into the game. All right, there could be much more explanation, that's for sure, but I don't want to overwhelm anyone with so much information because the game has a lot of different systems, that's a fact. And while you're playing the game, you're going to be unlocking a lot of these at the same time. So just play slowly, play in your own pace, and enjoy the game while you explore it and you unlock new features. Okay, but let me know in the comments down below what kind of guide you want me to do next, because I'm planning to work on some elemental reactions guides and also some damage guides as well, just to make sure that people understand how damage works and how they can optimize their stuff. Also a team building guide, that's not to mention all the operator guides that I'll be working, but feel free to leave a comment down below and I'll make sure to read your comments, and if I can answer your questions, I'll do my best to answer you as well. But once again, you can catch me live on Twitch and YouTube. And if I'm there playing Endfield, well, I also going to do my best to answer your questions in the chat. So as usual, thank you so much for watching this video. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you next time.